Today we begin exploring a book published in the U.S. on January 7, 2025. The Corporation in the 21st Century. Why, almost, everything we are told about business is wrong. Its author, Sir John Kay, is a Fellow of St. John's College, Oxford, a leading economist, and a knight. The book was first released in the UK in August 2024 and has already received widespread praise. Both The Economist and the Financial Times listed it among their books of the year. Sir Kay's ambition with this book is enormous. From what I gather, he aims to leave behind a definitive guide for the 21st century, on what a corporation is and how it should be run. He starts the book with a bold tone. Adam Smith wrote The Wealth of Nations in Edinburgh when I was a child there. Karl Marx wrote Das Kapital near my current office in London. The implication. Now it's his turn. If The Wealth of Nations and Das Kapital are too monumental to compete with, at the very least Sir Kay positions himself alongside Peter Drucker. Drucker's 1946 book Concept of the Corporation established the foundation of modern business management. Drucker's story is worth telling. In the 1930s and 1940s, American corporate management underwent a transformation. At the time, General Motors, GM, was the most successful company, and its chairman, Alfred Sloan, might have been the greatest businessman of the 20th century. As Sloan neared retirement, he felt that his management experience should be passed down, so he invited Drucker in. Drucker was originally a political science professor studying fascism. He knew nothing about companies. But he was observant and analytical. He embedded himself at GM for 2 years, interacting with people at every level. He did so well that GM even wanted to hire him permanently. But Drucker stuck to his mission and wrote Concept of the Corporation. The book argued that GM's success came from its decentralized management model. Divisions operated relatively independently, rather than being governed through tight central control. Drucker also called for further decentralization. He argued that employees weren't just tools but part of the enterprise and should be involved in management. These ideas, however, displeased Sloan. Yet history proved Drucker right. GM rejected his ideas and even forbade employees from discussing his book, but other multinational corporations embraced his thinking. Japanese companies, in particular, studied Drucker closely, and his management philosophy contributed greatly to Japan's economic boom from the 1950s to the 1970s. The lesson here is: scholars may seem like armchair theorists, but sometimes they understand your reality better than you do. You may be in the trenches, doing the work. But you're just a cog in the system. You may not know which of your actions truly drove success. Your view is narrow, making you prone to attribution errors. Scholars, by contrast, observe from multiple angles, draw from a wide range of case studies, and offer a broader, more objective perspective. They may see what you can't, and identify critical factors you've overlooked. Sloan was a master of management. MIT's business school is named after him, after all, following his $10 million donation in 1950. But Drucker understood management even better. And that's why we should listen to Sir Kay talk about corporations. So what exactly is a corporation? Why do some people get to start companies and become bosses, while others remain employees? What determines a company's competitive advantage? Traditionally, people have viewed business with a sense of cynicism. Many believe business is merely transactional and profit-driven, with companies existing solely to maximize shareholder value. While lofty talk about intrinsic motivation or social value is just lip service. Mention corporation, and people think of capital, imagining that capital dictates a company's fate. This leads to 2 major misconceptions. First, that finance is the most important economic sector, when in fact, it should be mere infrastructure. As we discussed before when covering George Gilder's Life After Capitalism, he too criticized America's financial markets for being overly volatile and overshadowing real businesses. Second, the belief that capital is the hidden hand behind everything. Some people even personify capital, blaming it for everything. Capital does this, capital wants that. Many believe famous entrepreneurs are just frontmen, puppets whose companies are controlled behind the scenes by capital. But in truth, Sir K argues, not only can capital not control the world. No company, no matter how powerful, can even control its own industry for long. People's ideas about business and corporations are outdated. Sir K's book offers a new narrative. First, understand that capitalism is a 19th century concept. Back then, the rich capitalists owned the factories, machines, and raw materials. They controlled the means of production. The poor couldn't afford any of that and could only work in capitalist-owned factories. When capital was scarce and labor was abundant, workers had no bargaining power. Employers paid minimal wages and demanded long hours. Profits flowed into the capitalists' pockets while workers were exploited. Thus, society was seen as divided into two classes: capital and labor, or bourgeoisie and proletariat. Some 19th-century columnists, outraged by this inequality, developed a narrative of class antagonism, claiming that the ruling class had designed systems to lock the working class into permanent subjugation. Many people still believe this is how the world works. But in fact, even in the 20th century, that world was already changing. Today, a company's most important assets are not land, factories, or machinery, but intangible things like intellectual property, algorithms, branding, marketing channels, and customer bases. These can't be bought just because you have capital. Workers long ago gained bargaining power through unions, and aren't intimidated by capitalists anymore. A company's true competitive advantage lies in its people. Researchers, marketers, operators. Not in its capital. Capital today is an ordinary resource. It's not scarce. Financial markets ensure that good projects can attract funding. Even then, companies don't need to buy land or factories. They can rent everything. More importantly, capital doesn't control companies. Take a publicly traded company, for example. Most of its shares are held by institutions. Are those institutions capitalists? Their investors are pension funds and insurance pools, which in turn represent ordinary savers, workers, and retirees. Yes, investors do have some influence via the board of directors. But they rarely interfere in day-to-day operations. If they dislike management, the most common move is to simply sell the stock. So CEOs aren't working for capitalists. They're working for the stock price. And a stock price isn't a person. It has no authority and doesn't tell you what to do next. Today's corporations are merely organizations with formal management structures. Employees often don't know who the shareholders are. And it doesn't matter. There are too many shareholders to keep track of. You might even be a shareholder of a few companies yourself. Major investors hold shares in dozens of firms. No capitalist is lurking behind your company, pulling strings in the dead of night. This is why Sir K believes capitalist economy is no longer an accurate term. He prefers market economy, or better yet, pluralist economy. What does that mean? 3 criteria must be met. 1. Anyone should be free to start a company or pursue a new idea, without needing approval from central authorities. 2. Consumers reward companies that meet their needs by choosing to spend money with them. 3. Companies must acknowledge failure. If consumers walk away, you either change or go under. These principles aren't based on ideology or cultural traditions. Any country that wants a healthy economy must meet these 3 conditions. Take the Soviet Union. Why did its economy fail? Because it was centrally controlled. You couldn't freely start new companies. Enterprises were state-owned and shielded from failure. People had to buy subpar products because there were no alternatives. But this wasn't unique to the USSR. Similar failures happened in capitalist America. Sir K cites IBM, General Motors, and US Steel. Giant companies that declined due to centralized, inflexible internal structures. Compared to the harm done by unchecked power, capital is actually a positive force. If you focus only on capital, you're missing the point. So if capital isn't the key to a company's success, what is? Sir K's answer: collective knowledge. This is a new concept the book introduces. Knowledge distributed across the company, collectively owned by all employees. It can't be found on Wikipedia or queried from AI. Only those within the company know how it really works. This knowledge doesn't sit solely with the boss or executives. If it did, they could run the company by fiat. But the reality is no one understands everything. You know part of it. Others know other parts. Only together do you form the collective intelligence that runs the company. That's why modern CEOs can't just issue commands. They must listen to those who hold critical knowledge in specific domains. Collective knowledge is embedded throughout the organization. It includes business know-how, capability combinations, like how tech and operations interact, supplier relationships, customer insights, user network building, brand shaping, and also the invisible elements. When to criticize, when to praise, when to lead, when to follow. These unwritten rules are also part of the company's core strengths. This knowledge can't be replicated with money alone. That's why capital is no longer king. The 21st century company draws its power from people, not material assets. If your company possesses exceptional collective knowledge, you'll earn extraordinary returns. But Sir K dislikes the word profit. He prefers a new term. Economic rent. Extra income earned due to unique, hard-to-replicate value. Top-tier researchers, sports stars, elite lawyers, experienced surgeons. They all earn economic rent because of their differentiated selves, which can't be easily copied or replaced. Starting a company is about pursuing economic rent. You want to be different. We don't want markets to be in perfect competition, where every producer is equally efficient and profits are uniform. We want a dynamic market, where companies emerge with distinct value, even if they command higher prices or temporarily dominate the market. Then competitors catch up and lower prices. That's what keeps the market alive. GPT today, DeepSeek tomorrow. But wait. You make companies sound great, yet many of them are greedy, unethical, or stagnant. How do you explain that? This is where Sir K's book excels. He doesn't blindly cheerlead. He's not like business self-help books that just tell you how to get rich, nor like macro-level conspiracy books that claim capitalism is destroying the planet. Instead, he invites you to study corporations calmly, with scientific reasoning and a wiser mind. To do that, we must first review how companies have evolved over the past century. Perhaps then we'll uncover the secrets behind success in today's complex world. It's a long book. We'll go through it piece by piece. That's it for today's content. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.
If you feel there is value in this, please like, subscribe to this channel, and leave your thoughts or suggestions in the comments section. Let's grow together and read more good books.